Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started. It's 1 o'clock. So I was just looking at the list of attendees, and I want to say welcome. I recognize some of the names from the last webinar, so that's really great. And the idea for the admissions and financial aid webinar is that we do get to get a little bit more into the information that you saw in the last webinar, a little bit more in depth to get further information. And it will be the same. I'm just going to switch my slide here. It's going to be the same format. We'll go through. We have our representatives here to talk about each area of service, and then we'll move into a Q&A at the end. So again, a little bit more information for you here. There's fewer presentations, which is nice. We can get into it a little bit more and certainly feels a little bit more intimate, which is nice. And if this is your first webinar with us today, I want to say welcome. This is our first ever virtual AC Day 1, and we're very, very excited to be able to still create an experience for your first day and make sure that you are getting all the support and the help that is needed. You know, silver lining, you're not having to get lost on campus. Instead, you're just hopefully comfortable somewhere and able to sign on and get the information that you need. So you are in the admissions and financial aid webinar. It's going to be an hour long, and you're going to hear from the registrar's office, which will include financial aid and student awards. And then we have one of our members of our executive team. So you will see myself and Leanne. We are on the events team working with the AC Hub. So along with our panelists, we put this on for you, and we work for Student Support Services. And our Vice President of Student Services is Laura Stambra. And for those of you that were in the last webinar as well, we had some words from our President, Claude Brulé, which is really nice. And I just keep saying, it doesn't matter that we're not on campus. We want to make sure that we're getting some face-to-face time with our new and returning students. So Laura's going to jump on and say a few words and just say welcome to everybody. And then again, we'll be hearing from Rachel of Campus Services, and she'll be able to get into a little bit more of the information that you would have seen in the first webinar. And not to worry if you didn't attend the first one, you won't be lost. We'll certainly take you through the information that you need. And then our last presenter is Matthew from ITS. So any tech support that you're looking for, he'll be able to help you out. And we'll have a Q&A at the end of that. I certainly feel a little bit more at ease in this webinar because there are fewer presenters, and so that's really nice. I'll mention in our last webinar, we had Nick representing for the registrar's office, and this one we have Martine with us, which I'm very appreciative. So she'll be able to answer any questions, and she'll take you through that presentation. So we're going to get started, and I'll remind everybody, for those of you who are just signing on, or those of you that were in the last one, you are now professionals at this. There's a Q&A that we will do at the end. So you will see that Q&A button at the bottom, and you can ask those questions once all the presentations are complete. If you have any comments throughout, there's the chat, and we can put some information in there. Leanne will be putting links in the chat as we go through, okay? And then I will ask Leanne right away. We recognize that we are having a virtual AC Day 1 because we are in a global pandemic, and it is certainly daunting and unprecedented times. There is a FAQ page on the Algonquin College's main page. So Leanne's going to put that in the chat. That link, you can click on that and it will take you to the FAQ page, and there's just a wealth of information there in terms of how we're moving forward on campus, and you know what the government of Ontario is doing, and what we're trying to plan ahead to make sure that our learners are getting the best experience in the healthiest environment. So certainly check out that link if you haven't already. So with that, I'm going to move right over to Martine from the registrar's office.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for attending. So excited to be here. So I'm going to touch base first on OSAP. So for students who haven't already, it is the time to apply for OSAP for your spring term. You still have time. So to be eligible to apply for OSAP, you do have to be not only an Ontario resident, but you also have to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or protected person. You have to be enrolled in a full-time program at Algonquin College and be taking at least 60% of a course load or 40% if you have a permanent disability. The OSAP program is a shared needs program. So OSAP only funds part of your schooling, and then you are responsible to fund the other part of your schooling. So whether that's through part-time employment, savings, family support, or spousal support, you will need that help to complete your studies here and be financially healthy during your studies. Next slide. So how to apply for OSAP. So you can go directly to the website on ontario.ca/OSAP, or you can do my favorite thing and just Google OSAP. And then if it's your first time applying for OSAP, you're going to register, create a profile, and then start your application for the spring term. For those attending fall, the application is actually opening tomorrow. So super exciting. You can apply for spring and fall at the same time if you want to. For out-of-province students, so students that live outside of the Ontario province, you can apply for funding from your own province. So please contact your province or use my friend Google to figure out which province funding is available to you. Next slide. So Algonquin also offers bursaries, scholarships, and awards. So bursaries require an application, and Algonquin College has numerous bursaries available to students, and you can apply directly on your Access account, which is ACSIS, and we'll see that in the next slide. Scholarships and awards are mostly based on nomination from faculty. So scholarships is purely academic, so based on the best GPA. And then awards are a mixture of academic as well as extracurricular activities, volunteering. And we have a wealth of information on our website in terms of what scholarships and awards are available to our students. Next slide. So to apply for bursaries, you want to log on to your Access account and apply before June 8th. That's when the bursary portal closes. So when you log into Access, you're going to go under you're going to go under financial aid, and then you will apply under bursary portal. You can only apply once you're registered. So to know if you're registered, you can go in and check to see if you have a timetable. And that's also located in your Access account. Also, to receive a bursary, you do have to have a SIN if you're a Canadian protected person or a convention refugee. If you're an international student, you are also welcome to apply, but you are not required to input your SIN. Ready for the next one. So if you have any questions throughout your studies, you can always contact your assigned financial aid officer. So by going to the financial aid website, you can click on financial aid officers in the menu bar. You'll click whether you're studying online, Ottawa, Perth, or Pembroke, and then whether you're receiving out-of-province funding or Ontario funding, and you'll start typing your program name, and it'll show you who your assigned officer is. Don't be shy to send them an email. We're happy to help. We're available virtually because we aren't working on campus right now, but we're accessible either by email, or sometimes we can do telephone appointments if we schedule ahead of time. So we look forward to hearing from you. Oh yes, Access, super important. This is like a self-serve service that we offer. You can do a lot of things yourself on your Access account that we do at the registrar's office. You can view your timetable, you can drop, add or transfer classes if your department permits it. You can also do credit transfers, so you'll want to do that right away when you start your studies. Do it all in one chunk. Get them all transferred over towards your program at the beginning. You can apply for bursaries, and for international students, you can make payments online. Especially now that we're not in person, you can make a payment with a credit card directly on your Access account. So a lot of services that we offered, like I said, you can log into your Access and do online. Thank you very much, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Martine. And so next, I'm really happy to welcome Laura Stambra. She's our Vice President of Student Services. So as I was saying at the beginning of the webinar, we recognize that we're not on campus, but we still want to make sure that we're getting some face-to-face time with our new and returning students. And certainly our executive team are feeling the same way. We were lucky enough to have our president, Claude Brulé, in our first webinar, and now just as lucky, she, as I was saying, is my VP, and it's always nice to get some face-to-face time with Laura. So I'm going to turn it over to Laura just to give a welcome to our new and returning students.
Thanks. I was just looking for my little unmute button. Still getting used to that when I think I have it down. So hi, everyone. It really is great to join you today. Welcome to my little work area from my home. My dog was just, he's not too far. He's actually just having a little dream. So hopefully he doesn't go into a full-blown nightmare there. You'll hear him if he does. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity today to welcome you virtually to your spring term. And I was actually just left a Zoom conference call early so that I can join you here. And that call was with all our deans and our directors and the vice president and the president of the college. And we meet every other day virtually to just make sure we're checking in and how everything is going. But we did take the time to talk about AC Day 1, and we were reflecting on how much we miss the energy on campus, especially this first day of term. So I'm happy to join you here in this way. And I know that I speak for that group when I say that we thank you for choosing Algonquin College. We know there's a lot of choices out there, and we thank you for choosing us. And although this semester looks very different, a big departure than what we, and no doubt you, were thinking about when we started planning so many months ago, I'm really happy to see that you are taking the right steps and participating in this webinar today. There's evidence that students who attend orientation have a higher chance of success. And so I want to congratulate you on making the right choices as you begin your time with us, and having time to connect with some of these very important people on campus who can really help you navigate especially some of the things at the beginning of term that you may need assistance with. It's a very big, complex organization, and we are happy to help you through this. So with that, now on to what comes next for you today. You have a panel of college experts online with you today to provide you with the information you need. And I really do encourage you to tune into any other webinars or activities throughout the day or that we will be offering throughout the semester. Please don't hesitate to ask questions that you have and connect with us. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help you through the journey that you have here at the college and to assist you in any way that we can. So again, thank you for today. I look forward to connecting with you again at some time in the near future. And just have a great day and welcome to the Algonquin community, and wishing you all the best with your time with us.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for signing on, Lauren. We'll see you later in the day. All right, we're going to continue on with the information. Okay, so top tips from campus services. I'm turning it over to Rachel. All right, Rachel.
Hi, everybody. I hope that it lives up to its snappy title. I don't know, I'll try. My name is Rachel. I am the Assistant Marketing Manager for Campus Services. So Campus Services encompasses a whole bunch of stuff. So this is kind of a quick debrief of what we are responsible for. So food and conference services, there are 7 food locations on campus, which hopefully when you come to campus soon, we will see all of those. Right now in residence, 35th Street Market Cafe is open. They are open, I believe it's 10 to 4, Monday to Friday, and you can call ahead. There's a menu online and order and then pick up, and it's all contactless and safe. They're taking a lot of precautions there. Print services, so we look after the print shop as well as the printers on campus. Retail services, which is connections to campus store, as well as your course materials. Parking, lockers, and card services, as well as residents. Next slide, please. So a quick note on card services, if you weren't in the previous webinar, this is just kind of a quick debrief. For new students, if you haven't already, please upload your photo online. Your cards will be mailed to you, so your AC card, your student card there, as well as your UPass, which is your bus pass. There's a step-by-step photo upload video at algonquincollege.com/AC-card, and as well as information about why your AC card is useful, UPass opt-out information, all that kind of stuff. For returning students, your new UPass has been mailed to you if you have not already opted out. Opt-out information can be found at either website, the AC card website or algonquincollege.com/UPass. And there's contact information there as well. If you're having any issues, please don't hesitate to reach out and we'll help you to get your photo in and get your cards. Next slide. So course materials. So course materials has a great feature where you can log in and get a custom book list. So book list of all of your required textbooks, as well as maybe some recommended, if any of your classes have recommended resources. So you can log in at thecampusstore.ca/booklist. You log in with your network username and password, which is on Access. Where possible, you can choose between a digital and print option. And there are some options for used books, as well as some options for digital textbook rentals for different periods of time. There's a step-by-step guide to ordering their books and downloading digital resources on the course materials website, which I see Leanne has just put in the chat. Thank you. And then if you need assistance with your course materials, you can contact CMS at algonquincollege.com and reach the course materials team right away. Next slide. I should also mention, actually, that course materials is doing a drop-in Zoom session today until 6 o'clock today. So if you're having any issues getting your course materials with your book list, I will put the Zoom link in after I'm done into the chat, and you can log in there anytime, and they're happy to help you. So the campus store. So when you order your textbooks, there is free shipping in Canada and the US on all orders. Regardless of what you are ordering, there's no minimums. Orders are being processed daily. They're working really hard with distancing guidelines and protective equipment and all that stuff, so everything is kept very safe. As I mentioned, used books are also available online for select courses. We're hoping to offer more of those in the fall as well. When you place an order for textbooks, you will need to create an account on the campus store website. So this is a little bit different than when you log into your book list. When you log into your book list, it's your network username and ID. But when you go to purchase, it will ask you to create an account. So just like an Amazon would or anything like that, you can set up the email of your choice as well as the password, and that will be your login for the campus store itself. If you need any assistance with an order that you have placed, or you're trying to place an order and you have any questions, please reach out to campusstore@algonquincollege.com. They're working really hard to get back to your emails as quickly as possible. Next slide. So spring term FAQs. So we have a bunch of FAQs on our website, algonquincollege.com/campus-services, as well as links to all of our services on there. So if we haven't covered it in the FAQs, there is contact information, and you can feel free to reach out to us. This is also accessible through the college's coronavirus website as well. And we have some COVID-19 FAQs on there too. Next slide. Follow us on social media. So usually if you type in the hashtag AC Spirit, you will find us. We use it a lot. But our handle is @AC Campus Services across all of our platforms. On Instagram, we're doing a lot of Q&As this week. You can feel free to send us in a question. We're happy to answer. And if we don't know the answer, we will certainly get back to you as soon as possible.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And I'm going to move it over to Matthew. So tips for making sure your learning experience is out of this world wide web. All right, Matt, over to you.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, my name is Matthew Wally. I'm from ITS. I'm one of the technicians that will be handling any of your submitted technical support issues. ITS is primarily responsible for supporting your network account, your educational devices, and the software that you'll use when completing your course activities. One of the most important resources that you'll need to access before starting learning at Algonquin College is your network account credentials. They're available from access.algonquincollege.com, and there's a small guide on that slide there that will help you to access your network account information, whether you're a first-time or a returning student. You can use your network account to access a variety of services, which I'll cover on the next slide. Please. Thank you. The most important services you can access with your network account is Brightspace and your student email. Brightspace is the college's learning management system where students can access their coursework, their syllabus, their lectures, their tests and assessments. And student email is the primary means by which your instructor, program coordinator, and other members of the college will be contacting you if they do need to get a hold of you. So always be sure to check Brightspace and your student email to get the most up-to-date information. In addition to that, all students of Algonquin College have access to Office 365, which is a complete suite of Microsoft Office software, including Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Access, and for some students, Project. Lastly is the Digital Resource Portal, which is accessible through Brightspace. A Digital Resource Portal has all of your learning software and your, all of your software that you'll use to complete your studies. Digital Resource Portal is only set up for full-time students. The last resource that your network account can gain you access to is VPN services. VPN allows you to simulate an on-campus computer session on your computer without actually being on the college campus. It can provide you access to a variety of different services, but not every student is going to need VPN services to complete their coursework. For courses where VPN is a requirement, chances are your instructor or program coordinator has already submitted your request for VPN access. For students that need VPN access but don't currently have it, they can contact their instructor, chair, or dean and request VPN access through them to access their VPN services. Next slide, please. Zoom is the college's main teleconferencing platform that we'll be using to carry out your coursework. Instructors will set up a Zoom classroom in Brightspace and they will provide you the connection information. Students can also connect to Zoom for study sessions between students or for tutoring sessions. Sometimes instructors will even have you break out into Zoom rooms to complete classwork. Algonquin College has taken certain security practices to make sure your Zoom rooms are more secure, including a password being set on each Zoom room, and the password information is provided by your instructor. A waiting room is in place so that instructors can screen attendees, and making sure that only permitted users are inside the Zoom session. And lastly, all attendees' webcams are disabled upon entry into the Zoom room to allow you to set up your space before showing it to your peers. Algonquin College has also set up a Zoom support website. That's the first link on the right-hand side there. There is, of course, also the Zoom support site set up by the makers of Zoom. And then for the next week at least, and I believe into the following week, Algonquin College is offering a Zoom live support chat where you can connect with a member of ITS and get support on all of your Zoom-related issues at the link on that slide. Next slide, please. Lastly, our available means of providing you support. Algonquin College ITS is always monitoring its email address, 5555@algonquincollege.com. Our If you submit an email to us, we will respond to it within 24 hours. Additionally, you can contact us by our phone number, 613-727-4723, extension 5555, where a member of ITS can connect with you and speak with you over the phone, and we can even connect to your computer remotely to assist you with technical issues. Starting Monday, May 25th, ITS will be available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're currently available until 8 p.m. during the week, but as I mentioned, that stops as of May 25th and will resume once more in the fall semester. Lastly, when on-campus services resume, service desk will be available for students down in Student Central, which is the bottom floor of DARE district. That's everything I had to share with you today. Thank you for listening. Look forward to your questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Okay, so I'm going to remind our students that are logged in, if you had attended your program orientation, and even if you haven't, on your Brightspace account, and if you have registered for AC Day 1, you would have received a guide in that confirmation email, and that is a digital resource that has a wealth of information, so make sure that you're referring to that as well. I think all of our panelists have sort of mentioned some links and websites that will be very useful for you, and a lot of those are housed in that digital resource, which we're calling the Virtual AC Day 1 Guide. So you can go on there and check that out. So again, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to start looking at the Q&As here, and this is the nice part about these smaller webinars, is that we certainly have more time and we can get into some specific questions that you guys have, instead of just us talking the whole time, because that can certainly get repetitive. Okay, so the first question. I am a non-medical student and scored a 62 in English, 65, okay. Please tell me, am I eligible to take admission? Okay, so I think that this is a question just in terms of, and maybe Mahak, if you want to give us a little bit more information if you've already applied or if you have not applied, but I'm gonna ask Martine if you maybe just want to speak a little bit to international students and domestic students, the process for being accepted into the college.
So right now, we are still accepting applicants for the spring term in certain programs for level 1. So if you haven't already, please do apply. For international students, it's a little different because you have to get your visa. So I would say you're probably running a little bit behind for spring. In that case, I would encourage you to email me directly with your student number, and we can take a look at your file together. Just because school started today, and if you don't have your student visa and you haven't applied for a program, you might want to be looking at a different start date.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Martine. And Mahak has replied, he's not applied yet. So if he wanted to get a hold of someone ASAP to get more information, who's the best person he should be emailing right now?
So technically, if it's an international student, they have to apply through the portal.
Okay.
And so they would discuss their options with an international recruitment officer at the IEC.
Okay, excellent.
So the process is different, unfortunately, for international students than it is for domestic.
Yeah. So Leanne, if you are able, I think you're already on it. Perfect. So Mahak, just take a look in the chat there. Leanne will have posted that link, and you can get a hold of the International Education Center right away.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, and then Matt, I'm coming back to you. Pranur, I know you asked this question in the last webinar as well, so you're just looking for a little bit more clarification, which we can certainly do in terms of your VPN. So you're in computer programming. I'm not sure that Matthew will be able to speak because we won't know, specific programs and what the requirements are. So I think that, again, it's best that you reach out to your professor. But I think if you did want a little bit more information, if Matt, you just want to go through the process for accessing VPN, that would be helpful.
Sure. So yeah, Susan was correct. The best way to find out if your course requires VPN access is to go to your instructor or program coordinator. In regards to how to get VPN, if you're in a program or course that is pre-approved for VPN access, then your instructor should share that information with you. If they haven't shared it with you, but you're still curious if you've been enrolled for VPN services, don't hesitate to reach out to ITS by email or by phone, and we can check to see if you have that level of access. If you don't have that level of access and you haven't gotten confirmation from an instructor that you've been pre-approved for VPN access and you'd still like to proceed with getting VPN access, then you just need to send a simple email to your instructor, chair, or dean requesting VPN access for yourself. And then your instructor will send ITS the request and we will provide you the necessary permissions. Yeah, that's really all there is to it.
Okay, awesome. So again, yeah, we would recommend you should have, if you go on to your Brightspace account, you'll see if there's a specific class that you're thinking that you need the VPN access, go into that class and there should be the professor information there with their email address. And then you can just email them directly to get that answer, and then they'll be able to move that process along for you. Okay, so we have no open questions. I'm going to encourage any of the students that are on. This is your time. We're here for you, and we can certainly answer some more questions. I have a little list going for myself in terms of questions that we've been getting through our orientation site and questions that we can address in this webinar specifically. And so Matthew, I'm sorry, I'm coming back to you. We get a lot of questions just about Zoom and exactly what that looks like. And certainly most professors are doing live classes, but we have some that are pre-recorded. If you can just, again, walk through the process and making sure students understand when they do go onto their Brightspace or, you know, how they are getting those links to each class for the Zoom classes and what that looks like.
Sure. As a blanket statement, I will say that every class is going to be carried out differently. So while I'll give you a general outline of how it works, if you still have specific questions, it really is important to contact your instructor. That said, if your instructor is carrying out their Brightspace class, their Zoom session through a Brightspace Zoom room, that information will be available to view within Brightspace. There is a number of resources within Brightspace, including a notification system, a calendar specific to each course, as well as a course content section for each course that will have all sorts of information about your classes for the current week, classes for future weeks. Some instructors even show the entirety of the course in advance and allow you to review before those weeks come up what you need to do to prepare. Some instructors will have a Zoom session, but they'll carry that Zoom session outside of Brightspace, just in a general purpose Zoom space, in which case they would provide the connection details to you through some alternative means. They might post the Zoom connection info in Brightspace as a link to an external site, or they might send you the Zoom connection information through your student email.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we have another live question. And Martine, I'm gonna come to you. To apply for Algonquin bursary, it seems that I need to fill out how much I've applied for my student loans, but since my application from Quebec has not been approved yet, I do not know how much the financial aid that they're gonna get. So, you know, how do they continue with that application?
Yep. So we always suggest to put in an estimate of what you think you will receive. And then once you receive the exact amount, you can go back in and update it anytime until June 8th. So by then you should know how much funding you're getting from Quebec funding if you've applied. So apply, put in a guesstimate of how much you think you're going to get, And then as soon as you know, you can log back into your Access account, update your application, and resubmit it. The deadline to make any changes to your bursary application is June 8th.
Awesome. Thank you, Martine. And I'm going to stick with you. We have a question, how to access their timetable on Access.
So you log into Access and then you click on timetable. It is legit that easy.
And maybe, Matt, I can come to you. I think that sometimes the struggle that new students have is, again, just figuring out what they need to get onto first. So essentially, you need to get on to see your timetable. You need to get onto what we call, it's a portal called Access. It's and you spelled it correctly, ACSIS. So Matthew, if I can come over to you and just if you can explain, I think students would have, once they are accepted, they get an email with this account information. Again, if you can just walk through that process.
Sure. When going to Access for the first time, if you are a new student, you'll be signing in with your student number. You should have a couple of college communications by this point that has your student number printed within it. The default password for a first-time sign-in is your birth date, and you enter your birth date through 3 separate drop-down boxes, one for month, one for day, and one for year. After that initial sign-in, you'll be prompted to create a password for your Access account. The password you're creating for Access is completely separate from any other password you're setting at Algonquin College. In addition to the password you're setting, you'll also go through the account recovery setup so that for future login attempts, if you forget your password, you can recover your account and still get access to Access. Once you're in Access, you should be able to view your timetable, your network account information, access the bursary portal, access higher AC. If you're trying to access these services within Access and you're not able to, there's a couple different things that could happen, but for most new students, it's usually just a matter of having not waited enough time between your fees being processed and accessing your Access account. If you believe you should have information in a certain part of Access and it's not visible, don't be afraid to reach out to ITS or the registrar's office, and we can review your account and let you know what the holdup is.
Martine has her hand up.
Yes. So I just want to remind students that for a lot of things, you have to wait at least 1 business day after you've been registered. So you can tell that you're registered by 1, seeing that you owe fees, or 2, by clicking on your timetable and seeing that you have courses there. So for example, applying for bursaries, you'll have to wait 24 hours. Checking into your classes, I'm pretty sure it takes at least 24 hours. Matt?
To log into Brightspace, so actually
With your network account.
Yeah, so once your fees are processed, so it takes 24 hours, or as Martine put it, 1 business day to get access to your network account info. Once you see your network account info in Access, it'll be another full business day before you'll have access to Brightspace.
Ooh, so
Okay.
I didn't know that.
So that's useful. And SureNet, I see there's a question down here. They don't, when they go into their timetable, there are no courses listed. So that's just a possibility that she just needs to wait a little bit longer for them to load.
She's not registered.
Oh.
Contact the registrar's office. If there's no courses in there, then they're not registered.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions here. I'm going to ask Leanne. Leanne, if you or Martine, if you have access to that RO Ask Us email or a contact there that she would be able to get a hold of, so we'll get her that information so she can deal with that right away. So SureNet, that's one's for you. So if you can't see the classes there, then there might be an issue. So contact the registrar's office right away. And then we have another question from SureNet, and she's just asking about co-op. And we had in our first webinar this morning, we did have a co-op representative. And so they're not on this panel, unfortunately. It is very specific. So again, Leanne, I'm gonna ask that you just put the link for co-op, and again, you can reach out to them directly, and you'll be able to get that answer easiest from them. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question from Vanna. An international student taking EAP, are they eligible for bursaries? Martine, yes?
Yeah, so both domestic students and international students are eligible to apply for bursaries. There is one thing to keep in mind is if you are a first-year international student, when you got your visa, you showed proof that you could live in Canada financially for 1 year. So something to remember for those new students. So oftentimes you can apply for a bursary, but you most likely will not receive one because as part of your visa application, you showed proof that you could survive here financially.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Okay, another one from Mahak. Okay, so just, I would say, again, Mahak, we had in our first webinar, we had our student success specialists attend. And if you're looking for, you know, a lot of information and you're not wanting to reach out to all the different areas, which is totally understandable, I would maybe suggest reaching out. I think that you'd mentioned you've not applied yet. Whatever program that you are looking at, you can go onto the college's website, and maybe we can, Lee, I'm sorry to keep putting you on the spot, but there is a student support services, not student support services, there's a student success specialist website, and they're really there to answer more of these fulsome questions that you might have, and they could delve into the different areas, and maybe if you're still unsure of what program you do want to be applying for, they can help guide you in which direction you'd want to take. And Martine, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the IEC recruiters will also do career counseling to help you guide you in the right direction, especially because some of our programs will require you to get a special visa so that you can go on to co-op. So really your first step is to contact the IEC Center.
Okay, perfect. So Mahak, you're gonna check out the chat, and in there, there's going to be links there for you. So make sure that you look at that before you sign off. And there'll be a link for the International Education Center, okay, the IEC. And get a hold of them, send an email to that email address, and then they'll be able to really help you out. Okay, awesome, thank you. Okay, so what happens if I don't have a user ID and my classes have already started? Matthew, I feel like I should take this, or that I should send this one to you, or if they don't have one, is there maybe a problem in terms of if they've registered or not?
It's possible. If their fees have only recently been processed, then not enough time might have passed yet for them to get access to Brightspace. If they're concerned that there might be something going on with their network account, then I encourage them to reach out to ITS by email or by phone, and we can review their account. I don't want to speak on behalf of their instructor, but generally speaking, the first week of classes, everyone's a little bit more relaxed so that you can get your feet under you before we hit the ground running and classes get serious.
Awesome, thank you. And then Matthew, I'm just sticking with you. Their students, and this is, sorry, for our new students too, this is, I don't want everyone to be stressed. Certainly the first week, you know, faculty, staff, and students, there's always a bit of issues with technology, and certainly we're all online, and so the challenges are very prevalent. So the next question comes from Alexander. My student ID have been registered today, and my Brightspace account still doesn't work. The support services said that it would be fixed, but I missed first classes today. Okay, so again, Matt, I think this might be a case of just having to wait and that time that it takes. Okay, so Alexander, if you've just been approved, then we've already learned it's gonna take 24 hours to get the Access account, and then another 24 hours to get Brightspace. Did I get that right?
You got it.
And so Alexander, if I can tell you, I would be emailing your professor. right away and letting them know that you don't have access to Brightspace. And certainly I would hope they'll be able to send you some of those PowerPoints or those, get you some information and catch you up. As Matthew was saying, certainly in my experience, I think the first week, we take it a little bit slower because we recognize that we're all new and we're getting to know each other, and the content gets heavier as we move into the semester. So try not to stress too much about missing your first class today. You're certainly on the right path by attending this webinar. And so just give it a little bit more time. And I would say if you still don't have access to your Brightspace in the next couple of days, certainly contact ITS, but reach out to your prof right away to let them know that you are not able to get onto it, just so they know what's going on.
They probably won't know who their prof is.
Pardon?
They won't know who their prof is.
Well, a lot of, if it's, Alexander, if you maybe want to tell us, any of the new programs that are running this spring, they would have gotten an email directly from their program coordinator.
Yeah, contact
so email them. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, awesome. So we have a little bit more time. The other thing, we've talked a little bit about it, but I just want to come back to Martine, and then I also have a question for Rachel. But Martine, just in terms of timetables, certainly because everything is online now, we have gotten a few questions through our orientation website about if students are able, when we're on campus, sometimes there's different sections of a class and they can switch their timetables around if they have a different work schedule or if they have other responsibilities. I think it's looking a little bit different this semester because everything's online. And if you can just speak to, so again, just how to access your timetable, and if there is a problem with that, what would be the steps that they would have to take?
So like you said, Susan, all of our classes are going to be online this spring. So there's not really any need to switch sections or to, well, you could add or you could drop a course depending on what your program progression requires you to do. But in level 1 in college, it's already set out for you. We do the registration for the courses that you need. So you shouldn't be adding or dropping courses unless you think that you're going to get an exemption, and you should talk to your program coordinator before you decide to drop a class. And also you have to remember that you need to maintain that full-time status in order to get OSAP, in order to get out of province funding, and in order to maintain your international student visa. So always have that discussion with your program coordinator or your student success specialist before you decide to drop a class in your Access account. On the timetable, you will notice that you don't necessarily have scheduled blocks of time. So like Matthew had mentioned, in each one of the courses, there will be a calendar, and you will need to manage your own time in terms of when you do your readings, when you do your assignments, as long as you meet those assignment deadlines. And those deadlines can be weekly, depending. So I hope that kind of answers the question about your timetable. Honestly, for the first term, you won't want to make any big changes. You'll just keep it as is, unless, like I said, you're going to try to get courses exempt, at which point you'll contact your program coordinator.
Excellent advice. Thank you, Martine. Okay, so there's a question in the Q&A, and it also goes along with the question that I wanted to give to Rachel. Rachel, we get a lot of questions, again, because the semester looks so different and we're all online, in terms of students accessing their student card, and how important is it that they get it even though we're not on campus, and for their UPass, and if they've not opted out and they want to receive their UPass, just timelines, if you can give those at all. We've been getting questions about those.
Sure. So for your AC card, in terms of not being on campus, so your AC card is used for a number of things when you're on campus, but the biggest part, the biggest piece of your AC card is your identification. So for exams, it's used for peer tutoring. That I think will still continue as peer tutoring continues online. Those are kind of the main things that you would use your AC card for right now. So for example, if you are living internationally this term, plan to be coming here in the fall, depending on what our fall looks like, you may not want your AC card mailed to you at this moment. You might want to wait. That totally depends. If you're a domestic student and you are looking for your UPass, so for returning students, all the UPasses were mailed out prior to their valid date, which is May 1st. So you should have received it by now, but it was mailed to the address that was on file with the college. So if you are at a different address, that may be the issue. So if you're getting them out within about 3 business days, give or take, for those. And if we wanted to make sure that the UPass is available because we know there's a lot of domestic students who still have to work and they still have to get different places. However, if you are not in that situation and you are UPass eligible, then you can go to the UPass website and look at the opt-in information and fill out the form there.
Awesome. And I know that you sent out communication earlier in the semester, just regarding the parking permits. So for those of the students who had one and weren't using it because we weren't on campus, I don't want to speak for you, but I believe that there was some reimbursements taking place.
Yeah, so the parking is a little bit tricky depending on what your permit was. So for example, for annual permits, there was a one-time rebate. For monthly permits, they have their own refund college policy that is basically prorated based on the time that you purchased it and then the time that you couldn't use it anymore. So if you have any questions about refunds, you can email parking@algonquincollege.com and they will get back to you. They're monitoring that constantly and they'll let you know what you're eligible for.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Rachel. So we have another question. They want to apply for financial aid for groceries. How can I do this? I don't understand if they apply through the IAC or Access. So I think, Helena, I'm just going to say we have a service on campus. I know that certainly if you apply for financial aid through OSAP, and Martine, you can correct me, that money is for you to put yourself through school and that can be put toward whatever you feel is necessary. So I'll have Martine speak to OSAP, but I also just wanted to mention that if you go onto the Students Association's website, there is a service for students and you can see if you're eligible for that. It's the food cupboard. And certainly during these times, we recognize that students might be needing a little bit more support. So certainly check out the food cupboard on the SA's website. But in terms of OSAP, Martine, if you can just, you went through it in your presentation, but again, just let the student know if they want to apply for that, what they need to do. They might have missed the beginning.
So OSAP is a share program. So it covers living expenses, tuition, books, travel costs, and the expectation is that you also contribute towards your education through either savings, part-time employment, family support, or spousal support. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to apply for OSAP. It's not too late to apply. You should definitely go ahead and start the process as soon as possible. Like I said, my best friend is Google. Just Google OSAP. And if it's your first time, then register. If not, then you can log in through the system. There's also community resources that you should be reaching out to, like food banks in your local community until that time when you can receive the OSAP funding. If you're an international student, again, you're gonna have to talk to the IEC in terms of what they can offer for emergency funding. Otherwise, we always encourage you to apply for bursaries on your Access account. And the deadline to apply is June 8th. The other thing is for students that are higher level, you can apply for the COVID emergency funding. So this This also includes level 1 students, but as I said before, if you're committing to school in level 1, hopefully you're financially prepared to make that commitment. So we will be looking at helping those in higher levels first for COVID emergency funding, and then looking at level 1 students. So if you're registered full-time for the spring, you are eligible to apply.
Awesome. That's a really good point, Martine. And certainly, I mentioned at the beginning, there is a FAQ page on the Algonquin College's main page for COVID-19, the coronavirus, and it will outline some of that information there. There is funding available for students, so make sure that you check that out. And certainly, if you're having to apply for OSAP and you're waiting for that funding, then it can possibly get to you sooner. Okay, so I'm just looking at the time. We're going to take one more question, and then I have to sign off because there's another webinar after this one. This is a good question. I've not seen it before, and to be honest, I'm not even sure that I could answer it. So it says Brightspace events are not updated as per the calendar and Access. Is this something to do? Okay, perfect. Martine, if you want to field that one.
They're not related. They're not related. You wouldn't enter anything into your Access calendar. Really, you're going to have to use either your own paper home calendar that's fancy, or you can use an Outlook account to transport all the information in there, or you can make yourself reminders on your Brightspace, but they're not related. So nothing on your Brightspace will show up on your Access account.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good to know. We need to get out our agendas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and create some. Yeah, exactly.
Out.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Okay, good. Okay, awesome. Okay, so Vanna, there's one more question here. I'm going to answer you just separately, but I'm just looking at the time and want to make sure that we're off here by 2 o'clock. So thank you to our panelists, and again, thank you to our new students for signing on. Again, please make sure that you're checking your virtual AC1 student guide. The list of webinars are there, and there's also some social activities going on today. And you guys can start to meet other students because we're not on campus. It's so important that you get some face-to-face time. If you go to the Algonquin College's orientation page as well, all the information is there. So hopefully I will see our students in the next webinars throughout the day. And thank you to our panelists again, and we will see everybody later. Bye.